Hello there, my name is Diana Shepard. As you can see, I'm not a traditional student. I've returned back to school after having raised my family and having spent many years in a career. I am now finally living my dream. I've wanted to always be an artist. So I'm going back to school. I'm currently a student over at UNF. I'm working on my Bachelor of Fine Arts with the emphasis in sculpting. Last fall of 13, I had gone to a lecture. I attended a lecture over at UNF, which was given by an artist. And the title of the lecture was how to succeed as an artist. Well, the whole lecture and the summarization was essentially that the only way to truly succeed as an artist, especially in this economic climate, was to go into academia. Well, I left that lecture feeling discouraged, as did a lot of my cohorts, because that wasn't the path that we had chosen in our careers. So that lecture gave me fodder for my thesis. I knew there had to be a way to be able to succeed as a working artist without going into academia. And so the title of my thesis is Succeeding as a Working Artist, Divining a Path to Become Financially Successful as an Artist Without Having to Go into Academia. My research is designed to provide a kind of working path for new artists who are wanting to begin a career as an independent artist, or other people who are interested in what it takes to become an artist. I divided my research into three parts. And the first part of my paper goes into personal development. To quote artbusiness.com, he said, "Over the years, I've come to realize more and more that succeeding as an artist is all about keeping people in the game." He goes on to say, "You simply can't put your art out there and then, with little or no effort on your part, expect people to get up to speed on their own." So I found in my research that one of the first things I do once I leave my studio is personal development, and that's preparing to sell my art. The main thing, one of the first things I have to do is build a portfolio. A portfolio will help me to be able to get into a door to talk to a potential gallery or anybody else I'm trying to get to work to sell my art for me. In a portfolio, it is like a resume, only with the portfolio it's a detailed history of my art and what I've done with it. It would list current projects, past projects, awards, shows, anything I had been a part of in my artwork. In this day and age, with technology, people want instant access to information. And so the next section I had gone into was creating a website. And with a website, you can put pictures of your artwork there where people would be able to instantly see what you're about. Also, it's important to have business cards with all this information on it available to anybody who might be interested in you and your art. Okay, the third the second part of my paper was finding a venue. And to quote Laurie McNee, too many artists finding the right gallery to represent you and your art can be an intimidating process. But unless the galleries are knocking at your door, you're going to have to go out there and knock on theirs. And so that's part of my research went into different types of galleries, all the way from the fine arts galleries down to vanity galleries, artist co-ops, and even online galleries. So it's finding the right venue and what it takes to get into that particular venue. The second part of that is going to art fairs and doing the fair circuit. There's art fairs around the country just about any time of year. And that is a whole different venue. I went into in this what the advantages and disadvantages are, what the costs, there's a lot entailed, and it requires a lot of work, but it is over a short period of time, and you reach large amounts of people very quickly. The third section I went into was crowdfunding, and here in Jacksonville, we have a really good example of that here recently, last April, when we had the OneSpark. That's what crowdfunding is. All the artists and entrepreneurs went out there and made their presentations to sell themselves to the community. And these projects were voted on, and the projects or artists, entrepreneurs that got the most votes got the larger chunks of the pot. There's a set amount of money available. It's a great way if you're looking for funding for a particular project, or if there's a piece of equipment you might need for the studio. These are all possible options. The third section in my paper is looking for government funding and grants. And there's a lot of debates, pros and cons of people in regards to government funding of the arts. One of the fellows, Alan Davey, who is a proponent for funding the arts, if I can quote him, that he talks about the arts, he says, they contribute to the growth and development of creative skills and economic regeneration, as well as visitor economy. More than that, they make this country a better place for its citizens. That's why they're worth investing in. One good example of that is the Olympics. At the opening ceremonies and stuff, a lot of time and energy went into creating that by a lot of artists, and you can see that as a good example of where it's beneficial to fund the arts, because it created a lot of national pride, and it shows the world who we are as a country. So in this part of my paper, I went into grants and government programs, what it takes, where to find these things, and how to write for grants for these particular funding options. And then lastly, in my paper, I had gone into public art. And public art is another feasible option as an artist that's bidding on public projects. When you think about public art, what immediately comes to mind is like memorials, or you see statues dedicated to various heroes or famous people within the community, or at any rate, it has developed into so much more. There's so many different public art venues available today in all different kinds of mediums. And so that was what I went into in the third part of my paper. In summarizing my thesis, I have found that there is a clear path that I can follow as an artist to increase my chances of becoming financially successful. Although I have found that there's going to be as much work outside of my studio as I put inside of my studio, at least initially, until I become established as a successful working artist. I have a professor over at UNF. She teaches sculpture over there. She's the head of the sculpture department, and she said she's been in this for most of her adult life, and she said that if you want to become successful as an artist, one of the most important things you need to do is be dependable and follow through on deadlines. She said there's an awful lot of artists, good artists out there, who are struggling because they can't follow those simple concepts as far as being developed, as being dependable. And if you were a patron and wanted to commission somebody to do a piece of artwork for you, and they were undependable, didn't show up on appointments or meet deadlines, very quickly as an artist you would develop not a very good reputation. But she said, if you're dependable and follow through, that you have a very good chance of succeeding as an artist. It gives you a very strong advantage. The issues involved in this research project have been sorting through and trying to figure how to categorize and organize all this information in a way that would be helpful to new and coming artists. What surprised me most about this is how much footwork and preparation it takes to be a successful artist. It isn't going to happen that I just create beautiful work and then take it out to the gallery and they'll show it, and I go back to my studio and produce more work. It's so much more than that. I felt discouraged when I first started doing this research project about how much work there was, but after doing all this research, I feel hopeful that I have a chance to succeed as a working artist. So, with that, I thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.